The assassin from Jersey City may not be. It says, any good stories from when you were a fan in the 80s, waiting outside of arenas for autographs? Were any of the wrestlers ever a dick to you? How were the other fans? Did you ever run into Vladimir?
Who's Vladimir?
Vladimir was the mulatto, is that even politically correct? Octoroon? What do you say these days? The light-skinned black man who used to sit in the front row of Madison Square Garden all the time.
Yeah,
with the
I know that
glasses.
guy.
Remember him?
Yeah. Real skinny dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember him. Yes, I was a huge fan in the 80s growing up. I was a big tomboy growing up, so it was just natural to watch wrestling. And my sister became friends with this guy named Professor Elliott. I don't know if you ever heard of him. He used to be an usher in MSG, and he did some timekeeping things on some indies back in the day. So he let her know where all the guys stayed in Newark, because I would always go to the Meadowlands.
Right.
So I was 9 years old through like 13 years old at this time. And my mom, my sister, and I would go every single month to the Meadowlands. It was our religion. We had to go. So we found out that everybody stayed at the Howard Johnson's by the Newark airport.
A lovely and classy place.
Yes. So we used to go for dinner there before the shows, and so I could hang out in the lobby and do what everybody does now and get pictures and autographs with everybody. But it was really cool. I still at my mom's. I have to remind me to get this binder. It's a huge photo album of 8x10s of pictures of me with all the guys from the 80s, blown up 8x10s that my sister made for me. She took the pictures and made this binder. I mean, you've got everybody in there from Ricky Steamboat to Georgie Animal Steel, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, you name it. But one funny incident. I was there so much, and they knew me as the cute little kid with brown hair. Yes, brown hair.
You do well with it, I gotta tell you. Yeah.
But they got to know me so much, and they knew me by face. They didn't know me by name. And one day, it was, we were having dinner, and Paul Orndorff walks in. It was probably the third time, we saw him, and he's like, "Hey, can you guys do me a favor?" And we're like, "Okay, sure." He's like, "Can you wash my trunks?"
How old are you?
I was probably 11. So Paul Orndorff gave me and my sister his wrestling gear, his trunks, knee pads, elbow pads, everything, socks, underwear, and we went to the hotel laundromat and washed them. But it was so cool. So here's my sister.
As a mark, you're honored to do it.
Yeah, we were absolutely.
But a guy basically threw his underwear to an 11-year-old girl and said,
pretty much, and he didn't even
them.
give us money for the machine.
You sign or anything for you?
Yeah,
Autographs?
of course.
Yeah, all right.
Autographs, pictures, but yeah, that's my big story from when I was 11.
Lawson, Bristol, Virginia. What are your memories of doing the Tammy's Tips in Smoky Mountain? Who is Margie? Was she any relation to anyone in the business?
Oh my God, Tammy's Tips was so much fun. Yeah, Jim tried to get me on camera as much as possible for Smoky Mountain. I was the biggest. He even told me once, he gave me my paycheck one week with a note in there: if you continue to get any more heat than me, you're fired. Because I was just, killing that territory. But yeah, Margie was just this big, fat woman from the hills, probably incestual parents she had, because she was a little odd. She used to sell all the Babyface's merchandise, and she was at every show, so everybody just got to know her. So we needed a big, fat person from the hills to make fun of on Tammy's Tips. So Jim and I took her aside at a show, and we put it over like she was going to be the next big star of Smoky Mountain Wrestling TV. We totally just messed with her. And yeah, so we had the Tammy's Tips, where I had to teach her beauty tips with, deodorant and perfume, and I just got to make fun of her because she smelled, and she actually did. And if you watch that one segment that we did with the beauty tips, I was showing her how to use all these things, and I said, okay, now, here's perfume, you put it on so, you smell nice and pretty for the men. Go ahead and apply it. As a complete shoot, she takes the perfume bottle and goes like this. She thought it was deodorant.
Wow.
That's how stupid this woman was. And I just busted up laughing, and I'm like, oh my God, that was a total shoot that couldn't have been any better. But my favorite one of that was the exercise tips. Did you see that one?
No.
Had her exercising, doing jumping jacks and stuff, and her shirt kept briding up over her big old belly, so her big naked belly was out there flopping. And at the end, she's huffing and puffing and doing all this stuff, and she sits down. It was in Jim Cornette's backyard that we filmed this, and there was a huge hill in the back of his backyard. And Cornette didn't know I was going to do this, and I totally did it on the spot, and he loved it. She sat down, wheezing and everything like that, and she eventually laid down, and I just went, and I kicked her down the hill. She went rolling. It was fantastic.
That's great.
It was so much fun making fun of people back then.